So if you're tuning in, yeah, you're reading the title of the video correctly. I did in fact predict the way this game would go. I predicted the Lions beating the Kansas City Chiefs. So if you want to check out that specifically, I'm going to have a link to those videos in the description. To summarize it really quickly, the main reason I thought the Detroit Lions were going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs was because I didn't like some of the stuff going on in Kansas City. You know, some of the off-season issues. But mainly, the Lions have had a lot of underrated season opening games where they've played some of their best ball, even if it didn't show it at the time. So I encourage you guys to check out those videos. They're going to be in the description. So just take a quick peek because, yeah, I was dead right about this game. Now, I made those videos before Travis Kelce got injured. And obviously, losing Travis Kelce, it's going to – it would have made my prediction a lot less hot takey, but it wasn't a hot take. I genuinely believed that the Lions are going to win this game because a lot of the things that I believe are the Lions' strength, they showed up in this game. So let's talk about those first. One of the things that has been really fun to watch about the Detroit Lions is how tight at the hip Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are, head coach and GM. Those guys have a clear vision, and they have worked really, really well together. And I think all but one of Brad Holmes' draft picks are on the team. So they did a great job of restocking the roster, so to speak. Which, you know, if you're a Lions fan, it's been a rough go for the past, you know, however many years the team has existed. So the secret sauce to winning this game was a few things. First off, yeah, the offense played fine. Wasn't particularly great. Part of that is because the Chiefs have a great defensive coordinator. They got those younger guys are really starting to develop into their own now that a lot of those guys are past their rookie year. But mainly it came down to a few things. It came down to the guts of Dan Campbell. That's one. It came down to the rookies stepping up, and rookies, second-year players, people stepping up, and the defense balling out. So let's talk about each of those. First off, the rookies. The Lions got a ton of criticism for their draft class. Like the draft pick that comes to my mind is Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh, why would you draft Jahmyr Gibbs? Why would you draft a running back that high? It's because he's a good player. He's a good player. And you saw that tonight. Like there was a first and 20. Lions get a penalty. And Jahmyr Gibbs single-handedly gets the first down. There were several moments where you really saw his speed. And it wasn't just him. There were a bunch of other rookies that had great moments. Sam Laporta, tight end for the Lions, had a phenomenal game. The linebacker from Iowa, Jack Campbell, he had a moment where he had that diving play to stop a completion. That was great. But the one that really stood out was Brian Branch. Now, for those of you who don't remember what happened in the draft last year, I can't blame you. It's been a while. But Brian Branch was one of those guys who was projected to be a first round draft pick. And he fell. Instead of going home or pouting or any of that stuff, he stayed the next day. And when he got his name called, he went up on stage, just like he would have if he was in the first round, and then took pictures with the Lions fans. So, and he was the guy who had the pick six in the second half, which was really heartwarming to see. Now, he did get injured later in the game, so hopefully he's okay. But the rookies stepped up, and that's what you need for a young team like this. And it wasn't just them. That whole defense really came alive, mainly because that defensive line was getting home, and the secondary was improved. It was better. A lot of those windows Patrick Mahomes had to throw into were very tight. He had to be Mahomesian to make some of those plays. And finally, like, you know, Aaron Glenn put together a great game plan, but Dan Campbell saved the game very early on. The Lions had no juice. They couldn't get anything going. They're on their own 17-yard line. And instead of doing the reasonable thing and punting the ball, Dan Campbell recognizes, hey, I don't have any momentum. I don't have any juice. It's only a matter of time before Mahomes gets going. We got to do something now, or we're going to lose this game. And he went for it, 4th and 3. And of all ways to do the fake punt, he goes right up the gut. Fake punt right up the right through the middle. And they get it. And that drive became their first touchdown, which kept, like, it changed the game. It gave the Lions some mojo and some confidence, even when Kansas City started putting some more points on the board. This whole game just speaks to the culture shift that has really taken hold of Detroit. Everybody was making fun of Dan Campbell for the biting kneecap stuff, which is mainly a problem with the press. The pundits are more focused on decorum more often than not than results, mainly because decorum affects them. It affects how they operate. They're the ones that now have to, you gotta now write this a certain way, and it's not very professional. But that's not how you should be trying to cover your coaches. And Dan Campbell's a lot smarter than people give him credit for. He's a lot more clever. All three phases came together to win this game. And that's a huge thing. So if you're a Lions fan, this is an amazing moment. You better soak up this moment now, because, you know, these kind of moments don't come around often. And by winning this game, you have not just won your first game and your first time as a head coach if you're Dan Campbell. It's so much bigger than that. Now that you have beaten the Super Bowl champion in their home, you got those guys believing. You guys got them believing in the future. That not only can they not only can they be competitive with some of those teams, but they can win those games. We saw this exact same style game against the Buffalo Bills last year, and the Lions found a way to lose it. Not this time. So this is the Lions. I think it's safe to say, I made a really bold prediction. Again, I'll have a link to the video, where I think the Lions, the way those young guys are playing, they're feeling, they may be legit Super Bowl contenders, which is crazy to say, but I think that's definitely true, especially the way they won it. This was an ugly game where the offense didn't, you won 21-20. You didn't exactly win a shootout. So hats off to the Lions. This is great if you're a Lions fan. Soak this all up. This team is probably going to take the momentum in the next few weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start 4-0. That's what I have in my prediction. I think a win like this gives you a ton of momentum, especially with a young team like the Lions have. So let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs real quick. And I'm going to get one thing out of the way. First and foremost, if you're a Kansas City Chief fan and you're popping in and like, oh yeah, you know what? We didn't have Chris Jones. We didn't have Travis Kelce. We have those guys. We would have won the game. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. You guys didn't care one bit when you finally beat Joe Burrow about, the Bengals, they'd lost 3 starting offensive linemen leading up to that game. Nobody cared about that. You didn't care, because a win's a win. Same thing here. A win is a win. I cannot tell you how many people I have heard in the press talking about how, Patrick Mahomes winning this season opening game is just inevitable. It's just going to happen. It is like gravity. Everything falls. So too does every team who comes into Kansas City for the first game of the season fall. And I didn't buy that coming into the season. My prediction for the Kansas City Chiefs, again, I'm going to have the link in the description if you want to check out the prediction. I have the Chiefs going 11-6 and winning their division, mainly because I don't think that this era of dominance, the Arrowhead Invitational, that's what that guy Nick Wright calls it. Um, I that's not an inevitable thing. A having the number one overall seed for so many years, or I guess number two seed too, but being at the top of the food chain in the AFC for so long, getting those 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl rings, that's a phenomenal accomplishment. But not everything lasts forever. Coming to this season, I thought that the trajectory of the Kansas City Chiefs was going to be a lot like the Golden State Warriors, and so far I'm right. If you don't know, if you don't watch the NBA much, that's okay. But the Golden State Warriors last year, a couple of years ago, when they won the national championship by threading a very, very careful needle by blending young guys and their old, experienced, talented veteran core. And together, they were able to thread a very particular needle and beat an up-and-coming green team from the East Coast in the championship. Sound familiar? And after that happened, this two-track tier system was supposed to work, but it didn't. It completely fell apart because with Jordan Poole, there were contract issues. Draymond Green punched his teammate. There were a lot of things going on, even though a lot of the players like Steph Curry were talented and they're able to make some magic happen in the right moments. It wasn't a great team product. There's a reason why good players want to play with guys who are experienced, because you want, it's easier to be competitive when you're not making rookie mistakes. No, like, I don't know, keep dropping open passes multiple times. I think that was Kadarius Toney. But point being, the Chris Jones contract situation, Travis Kelce punching his teammates in practice. There was a whole lot of bad vibes coming in this game, which, Chiefs fans, it's been great. You're going to be a great team. You gotta drop the ego a little bit, okay? You're not gonna go to the Super Bowl every year. You can chill out a bit. Just be happy with your rings. Be happy with your rings. If you get another one, say, oh, okay. But don't. Everybody's got to tone down the Kansas City Chiefs, because either you are a hater where you're saying, oh, they're not even gonna win the division, which is stupid. That division is always overrated because, of course, it is. Everybody wants to project their own biases, especially on that Los Angeles Chargers team. They love to project their biases onto what that team should be, not what they are. But Kansas City is not going to be the number one overall seed, I don't think, this year, and definitely not every year. So there are a ton of vulnerabilities here. Patrick Mahomes did what he could, but he needs help from his wide receivers. And it just proves how delicate of a situation that the Kansas City Chiefs are in this year without Tyreek Hill. So if they lose Travis Kelce, like if he retires at some point, they're going to be in trouble. So now, what does this mean for your NFC North or your AFC North team? Now, if you're new to the channel, those are the two divisions that I'm really focused on here: the NFC North, AFC North. I just love those divisions. I grew up here in the Rust Belt, so those are the games that I always grew up watching. So for the NFC North, week 1 is huge. Not just huge in the sense of it's an opener, but if you start falling behind to the Lions and they start hot, this could be a really long season, and it could be really, really hard to catch back up, especially with a lot of those divisional games right at the end of the season. So if you're an NFC North team, you got to win. That Packers-Bears game is a huge one to keep an eye on, because I think the winner of that will be pretty competitive in the division. But, I think the Bears are going to win that one. But and Minnesota's probably going to beat Tampa Bay. But this is you got to win those games now. If you don't win those games, and the Lions already have momentum. They were the betting favorites coming in there. You can't let them start feeling themselves and start talking about 17-0. You can't do it. You can't do it. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. Lions are going to be an 11-6 team in my mind. But for the AFC North, the number 1 seed is up for grabs. There is a real chance that if you were able to rumble through this division, which is going to be really hard because all these teams in the division are good. If you do come out the other side with a great record, you can be the number 1 overall seed. It may not take 14 wins because, the Bills are in a tough division. AFC North's tough. The Chiefs start to stumble a little bit early on while they don't have Chris Jones, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce will probably be back next week, but the Chris Jones is a big one, and a lot of bad vibes. But on the AFC North front too, Burrow also got his contract. Now the holdup with that, I actually understand it now because he got $275 million. $219 million of those were guaranteed. Nearly 80% of his money was guaranteed. So he went for the Deshaun Watson model of, I want my money no matter what happens in injury, which is probably smart for him because he has been injured quite a bit. The ACL tear, the appendectomy, the calf strain. So Burrow got his money too. So if you were naively hoping that the Bungles would bungle this, which I'll admit, I was starting to think maybe they are gonna bungle it. No, they probably just needed to get the cash on hand because you gotta put the money, like, I gotta physically put the money away when you do one of these guaranteed contracts. So that's gonna be it for the video. This is a huge moment for the Lions. So if this is anything to say how the rest of the season is gonna go, it's gonna be an absolutely wild ride. So if you guys like what you see, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be trying to do some more content. Good content, obviously, as the season goes along. Your support would mean everything. So, thanks for watching. Stay of the North.